Namo Bhagavate Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotee. Thank you for joining us today. So we'd like to seek the blessings of Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Madhav, Krishna Balaram, Gaurita, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and assembled devotees so that we can continue with the Sapta Rishis. Now we're in the 10th Rishi. Of course, Sapta Rishi means 7 Rishis. But we're looking at different Rishis who've been part of the Sapta Rishi group in different manvantaras, different times of Manu. So Chyavana Rishi, Muni, is in the, I think in the first of the Manus, Swayamvar Manu. So this is a little depiction of this incredible Muni, Chyavana Muni. Chyavana Rishi was the son of Bhrigu Muni, who we talked about yesterday, progenitor of the great lineage of descendants known as the Bhagarvas or Dushars. The Mahabharata states that Chyavana was powerful enough to oppose the Vraja of Indra. So this is the thunderbolt of Indra, which is of course a thunderbolt. But Chyavana Rishi is very powerful. He could even oppose the thunderbolt of Indra. He created the mother demon to help the Ashwinis get their fair share of the sacrificial offerings. So I think we come into that later as well. Rishi Chyavana is also known for his rejuvenation, achieved through a special herbal paste known as Chyavanprash. Chyavanprash is quite famous. Ram Baba, he sells this, isn't he? Very famous for selling it. So,
Chyavanprash, no, we had it when we were in Africa, long time back.
Right.
Available even before.
Right. Yeah.
We also have it in Mauritius.
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah, supposed to be very, very good herbal medicine. This medication was first prepared for him some 10,000 years ago at his ashram on Doshi Hill in the Aravalli Mountains along the border of Haryana and Rajasthan. Chyavana is mentioned in the Rig Vedas, which describes him as an aged and feeble person whose youth and strength was restored by the twins Ashwini Kumar brothers, who were the Rajavaids or state doctors of the demigods. They look after the demigods. Of course, the demigods don't get very ill because their bodies are that way inclined. But they obviously help many others, including sages. According to a hymn of this text in the Rig Veda, because he was closer to the Ashwinis, Chyavana was apparently opposed to Turvayan, a Pakta king and Indra worshipper of the day. According to one tradition, Chyavana married Vaivasvata's Manu's daughter, Arushi, and their son was Urva. According to another tradition, he married Shukanya, daughter of the Vedic king Sharyati and granddaughter of Vaivasvata Manu. They had 2 sons, Apnavan and Dadicha. Of course, both could be correct. He is also noted as the father of Harita.
Prabhuji?
Yes.
Yes. This Vaivasvata Manu, that is in the present Manu, isn't it?
That's the present Manu, yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Okay, so it's fairly new in the lineage of Sapta Rishis then.
Might well be, yeah. I
Or
thought
he may have been born long time back and still living.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe, yes.
Maybe, yeah. But I think we already covered the Saptarishis of this Vaivasvata Muni. So I'm not quite sure exactly where he fits in, but I think it might become clear as we're going along.
Yes.
But yeah.
Okay.
But also Bhrigu Muni we talked about last time. Bhrigu Muni was right at the beginning with Swayambhur Manu.
Yes.
And that's his father. So, not sure. So Mahabharat Adi Parva 5-6 narrates that when Brigu's wife, Puloma, was pregnant and lived in her hermitage, a Rakshas harassed her there. Puloma's child slipped from her womb, a condition producing what in Sanskrit is called a chuyut, and that is premature child. This child was given the name Chyavana. The Rakshas, seeing the child drop, released his mother, but immediately converted into ashes. The earliest version of the narrative of Chyavana's practice of austerities and subsequent restoration of youth is found in the Brahmanas. A later version of this narrative is found in the Mahabharata. More later versions are also found in the Bhagavad and the Padma Puran. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we went through this, where there was a chapter or two dedicated to Chyavana Muni and how he got his youth restored. The Satapatha Brahmana states that while all the Brigus, the descendants of the Angiras, were away, Chyavana, with his senile body, was living in his ashram at Doshi Hill. When he says senile, of course, means old body. Right? This was a tapasvi. He was a sage who was doing great austerities. So he was doing these austerities. While he was doing those austerities, King Sharyati, the son of Manu, once came near the hermitage while hunting with his army. Now Sharyati's daughter, Sukanya, along with friends, were also with him in the battle, in the forest with the king. She went to Chyavana Rishi's ashram while the Rishi was in meditation. Ants had covered his body, only his eyes were visible. Now, Sukanya was a child and she was playful, but not knowing that it was a human, Sukanya pierced the Rishi's eyes. That's the only thing that was visible through this anthill. And she somehow pierced his eyes. Chyavana was in pain and he became furious. And his curse created discord among Sharyati's army. So there was a lot of pandemonium going on, and the king was wondering what's going on. Eventually, he found out. When Sharyati found the cause of his misfortune, he offered his daughter Sukanya in marriage to Chyavana, so that she could take care of the Rishi. And of course, his curse was diminished on the army of Sharyati. So later on, the Ashwinis came to Chyavana's ashram and tried to entice Sukanya, who refused to leave her husband. So she was extremely loyal and chaste, because the Ashwini twins are very handsome. So they tried to seduce Sukanya, but she was very chaste. And she instead asked the Ashwinis to restore Chyavana's youth. And they became very pleased with her because of her dedication to the sage. Following their advice, Chyavana's youthful health was restored. Certain herbs were put into a pond and the Rishi was asked to have a dip in that pond, known as Chandrakup. Even today, this tirtham is found at Doshi Hill. One herbal paste was prepared for application on the Rishi's body, and another Chyavana brush was prepared for the Rishi to take as medicine. In return for their ministrations, the Ashwinis obtained a share in the sacrificial offerings in Kurukshetra on Sukanya's suggestion. So the devatas, they don't all participate in the share in the offerings made by the various devotees, Karmakaldi devotees. And the Ashwini twins were one of those the demigods who wouldn't get a share normally. But you can see the power of Chyavana, that he was able to get them to have a share in these sacrificial offerings. In the Aitareya Brahmana, the inauguration of Shariata by him is compared with Indra's coronation. So when they must have made the king, Shariata the king, and it said that that was organized by I'm not sure who was organized by, but it was a very, very opulent occasion compared to the Indra's coronation. In a narrative found in the Anushasana Parva of the Mahabharata, Chyavana exacted many menial services from King Kushika and his queen for 21 days. Later, he was pleased by their devotion and he rewarded them by creating a magical palace of gold and predicted the birth of their grandson, Vishwamitra, who would be endued with great energy and would obtain the status of a Brahman or Brahmrishi, or even Vishwamitra, who, as we found out, is also one of the Sapta Rishis. So this is the end. This is Sukanya appealing to the Ashwini Kumars. How come there's 3 of them? For her husband's good health. So Chyavana Muni ki jai. So any questions, any comments?
Prabhuji, not
Yeah.
from Chyavana Muni, but there was Mahabharata was mentioned, so I remember Mahabharata only as the war of Mahabharata between the Kaurava and the Pandavas. But Mahabharata is much more than that, isn't it? All these parvas and so many sloks, and so I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, it's the biggest poem, isn't it?
Yes.
Epic. Yeah.
Epic.
It's huge. And it starts way, way before the war, way before.
Yeah.
A few generations, right? Because there was Maharaj Bharat, and eventually
From his
Shantanu
start, yeah.
came. Shantanu came. After Shantanu, of course, we had Bhishma and his pastimes. And Mahabharata even goes further than the war. Because after the war, Yudhishthira is crowned the king, and then Dhritarashtra leaves home, achieves liberation, and then they realize Krishna has left the world, and then they also leave the world. So Mahabharata continues after the war quite many, many years.
So is Parikshit Maharaj part of Mahabharata?
I think there will be a small section of it because Yudhishthira Maharaj installed him as king before leaving for Himalayas. So very little bit. But the Srimad Bhagavatam, of course, has, fine details there. Yeah, Mahabharata is extremely instructive. Actually, we've got a very, very good summary done by, it's a very authentic serum, because there's many Mahabharats as well. Some of them are not so authentic, but this one is a very, very beautifully written. So you can borrow that.
Is it a big book? Is it a big one?
Quite big, yeah, it's quite big. But you can enjoy that in Spain.
I will. Yes, I will take it one day just to glance at it and get a bit more information.
Yeah, no, it's worth reading it because there's so much nectar in there. It's historical pastimes, so it's very good, very instructive as well. Very instructive.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So, Shaman Rishi ki jai, Sapta Rishis ki jai.